So unsurprisingly, another Chrischan phone call from jail has dropped, but surprisingly, it's actually in good quality. Now, the caller is Zombo. Zombo took this call, put it on YouTube, and he sent it to Kenneth Englehart, which Chris asks in this call. I cut it up into little pieces, and I'm going to react to it. The real calls are in the description below, but I have to warn you, they are fairly boring. That's why I cut it up like this. Most of it's just Chris bitching about money anyway. But let's go into these videos and see what Chris is talking about from jail. So right from the jump, Chris is just not pulling any punches, saying, the fact that more kids are getting, infected with the stuff, that's enough to tell him the merge is coming. It's just more bad shit happening, which means the merge is on its way.
I also heard this from the radio recently, that apparently it got so warm up in the Antarctic, not only are the ice caps and bodies of ice melting, but for the very first time, they reported regular, not freezing, regular rain.
Once again, this is just a classic Chris ploy to be like, oh shit, this bad thing's happening and this bad thing's happening, and I said bad things were going to happen, so I guess I foretold the future. And, the the rainwater and everything, that's a completely a problem unto itself. But, the way Chris sees it, he's going to draw all this shit in. Anything he hears on the radio, because we do know now he has a radio at his disposal, but everything he hears on it that's bad, he's going to draw it into more proof that the merge is happening.
Yeah, there's a lot more than just, quote, global warning. It's the divine event. Of course, with the Judgment Day on those left behind, and collective shift, and all that. All right, well, that's the topic, coffee shop. You have to tell me about your son. How is he doing?
I decided to cut out the majority of this section of the call because this is just Chris and the guy talking about the guy's son, and it's, it seems like it's a personal matter, but then again, like I said, the homeboy uploaded this onto YouTube himself, so, but I just personally thought, I'll leave the guy's son out of it, but later in the call, there is one thing about, that conversation that I do leave in because it's very ironic to hear Chris talk about all this, but it's just Chris trying to give the guy advice and the guy telling him what's going on in the son's school.
And just to offer comparison, look at the episode of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, testing, 1, 2, 3, where Rainbow Dash was about to get tested to be entered into the Wonder Bowl, but she just had no knowledge, and they had to figure it out to the end with the various learning and teaching methods, and then they found out that Rainbow Dash could learn for herself by being up in the sky and just looking down on everything.
Yeah, that's actually a great point. That is absolutely true.
No, the fuck it's not. If you guys are wondering what Chris was even saying there, because it's very confusing, Chris was just trying to, compare this guy's son's virtual learning to My Little Pony. And I get that Zombo here. Now, Zombo really cares about Chris. He doesn't like trolling. He doesn't like any of that. And I get you're trying to be nice to him, but come on. And there we have it. The real reason Chris contacted this guy, for the money. As we've said before, Chris loves to e-beg even while still being in jail. And sadly, homeboy here is going to give in and give Chris some money, which I've told all you before, use the money you were going to send Chris and buy your friends or your family something nice, or even buy yourself something nice. Don't waste it on Chris. But because I guess the money's dried up, he's felt the need to call this guy, and he's even apparently asking Kenneth Englehart, as you'll hear later in the call, for money as well.
Uh-oh.
And my phone account has less than $10 in it right now, so I gotta be careful with how long I take on these calls. Limit them at this point, but I need to get more money in.
I love the way Chris talks about it and says, we need to get more money in, as if he's offering something to, to justify that. And he gives the same type of fucking attitude. The, oh, well, I need the money real bad. And he's trying to, like, kind of guilt this guy into, we need money coming in. And that's why you never give it to Chris, because it just, it further pushes this whole mindset he has.
And I saw on recent days that they were able to access the CBRJ website here. So that's back
Okay.
on law. All right, so what you can do for me, in addition to you going onto the website and maybe donating, I don't know, like 20 or 50 bucks from your own part,
Sure.
yeah, a little.
Just a quick 20 or 50. I really do want to stress, though, and I don't want to sound like a broken record, but brother who recorded this call, why are you giving up your money so easily?
Yeah, I can do that.
Is that you can also go onto Onion Farms, contact Kenneth Englehart, send him the link. After you confirm it for yourself to tell him the site's back up, you can go there, you can donate money to Christine again.
So, firstly, it's obvious that Kengel has been telling Chris a lot about his weird website, The Onion Farms, which is just like a strange offshoot of the Kiwi Farms. So, Chris wants this guy to go there, get in touch with Kengel, and he really just wants to stress again, at the end of the day, the most important thing is that Christine's account is open and that we need donations.
Okay. And yeah, I'll definitely recommend that you get in touch with Kenneth Englehart. He's a decent guy. He's a decent guy and good person for the most part, even though he may have his faults at times. He's more of a neutral good.
I do love how Chris talks about Kengel and says, he's a good guy, but he has his faults. But at the end of the day, he's more of a neutral good. Because this is how Chris talks about most people. He sees himself as completely all perfect. And anybody who helps him, like Kengel, who's been a white knight and basically been a yes man for Chris for years now, even that's not good enough for Chris to see him as perfect too. Kengel still has his faults because he may not believe everything Chris says, but he's still a decent guy in Chris's eyes.
So how's everything else been going for you, other than obviously the troubles of being stuck in there?
Oh, well, everything metaphysically and interdimensionally and all that, that's all been working out. And just, I've been, my body and I have been working it out.
Okay, that's good.
So if you notice, this is like the first time this whole call Chris has said something like metaphysical, or when he says he's working it out, I don't think he's actually working out. I think he's just trying to talk more about the whole, like, all the weird Jesus stuff he talks about in the letters, because that's what I was just about to bring up. Have you noticed in this call he's really been like laxed on talking about that? Now I did tell you I cut a bit out and you can go listen to the real version yourself in the description, but really nothing I cut out has features that type of shit either. Now he does eventually get into it, but it's clear here that Chris is much more worried about money and his body on this earth right now than he is about the dimensional merge and shit, because he's struggling in there. And it's clear to see. And also, he didn't really even answer this dude's question. He asked how's it been going in there with all these troubles, which, first off, Chris brought these troubles on himself. Let's remember that. But, yeah, Chris is just trying to, like, whatever, I'm working it out. So, good on him.
Do you know when your next court date is or anything like that? Are you pretty hopeful about all that stuff, or do you have help with that kind of stuff?
Well, I am more optimistic on the divine event than obviously my sudden return to the temple, the time to temple, get my body out here and things get cleared up. I have more faith, obviously, in the divine thing, but also
Sure.
I have faith in the good people and whatnot. And I mean, obviously, I have all the cosmic connections. I mean, shoot, I literally talk with my mother, Emmanuel. God above God,
Mm-hmm.
daily basis these days.
So by the end of this call, Chris starts to get a little more into, like I said, the Jesus shit. He talks about that he talks with Barb nearly every day. Now, I highly doubt that's through phone calls. I think that's him just sitting there, what does he say, astral manifesting, and fucking just talking to Emmanuel. And when this guy, Zombo, asks him about Chris's upcoming hearing, Chris just rambles on about being optimistic that he'll be able to return to the Sonichu Temple. Now, I think that it's still so funny to me that with all this going on, he doesn't break the whole, like, it is still the Sonichu Temple. Don't get it fucked up. It's not just my house anymore. It's the Sonichu Temple. But for the most part, Chris just dances around and kind of stumbles around his words and says that he's optimistic to be let out. And in the next call we'll listen to, it's pretty goddamn clear that Chris has his idea of how he's going to get out of there. But that's the end of the first call. Now, that is a 15-minute phone call in full. And like I said, it's in the description. That's like the third time I've said it. Go listen to it for yourself. But like I said, there's a lot of like dead air. There's a lot of conversations that, like I said, are just more personal to this dude. It feels like, and less about Chris. And then there's just talks about money orders and everything. And like I said, I didn't want to bore you guys with hearing 3 minutes of Chris trying to explain how to send him money in jail. So let's jump to the next call. The next call is only about 6 minutes long, but it's got a lot more beef to it. I'm not going to lie, because some of the shit Chris says in here, now this sounds like it's coming right out of one of these crazy Chris letters. And so let's get right into it. And like I said, this call too, also down in the description if you want to listen to it in full.
Hey. Yeah, I can hear you.
Hey, how you doing today?
Okay, but not great. Okay, so I had the ability to use the phone twice today. Earlier today, around about 12 o'clock noon, and during this hour. And during both times, I tried calling Barbara's phone. About 3 times each, and did not pick up.
Uh-oh.
So we start this next call with Chris throwing out some concern for Barbara because he hasn't heard from her. And, that goes back on the previous statement of him talking with her every day. I digress. But it's clear that he has a little bit of concern here because he tried calling her. She didn't answer. And as we'll get to in the next coming clips, they're going to, I guess, do a wellness check on Barbara. Now, in the part that I cut out, Chris asks people, if anyone can, please go over there. And when this dude brings up 911, Chris seems he does a stress sigh, which is seeming like he doesn't, this is my speculation, he doesn't want law enforcement over there, but he wouldn't mind just any random schlub off the street.
But I would feel better if somebody actually was able to go out and check on Barbara.
Yeah, I can arrange a wellness check for her.
To me, this seems like a moment of clarity for Chris, because we can all agree that he deserves to be in jail for what he did. It's fucking gross. But at the end of the day, and like I said, I don't agree with this, but like I said, think of it put yourself in Chris's shoes, and it may be really fucked up to say to do that, but it's still his mom, and he wants to know how she's feeling, and he's worried about it. It's clear. And I thought that, but then Chris just forgets about it and talks about his crazy, like, inane Quickville shit.
Since I don't have any phone numbers, and I looked in the directory in the back of this inmate handbook, they have it's small directory, but they only have addresses of these local legal facilities, no phone numbers.
I don't know about y'all, but that seems pretty fucking weird, right? They have a book or like a lookup for where you can look up law offices and like, I guess, police departments and shit like that, but it only has the addresses and not the phone numbers. Now, in jail, what good will that do you? I guess maybe to write a letter? I guess I just answered my own question, but if you need to get to one of these places, like, shouldn't they offer you the phone number because that's like your main source of like contact with the outside world and not just the address? Because it's not like Chris can say, yo, on next Tuesday, can you guys drive me over to so-and-so's office or whatever? So I don't get this. I feel like I feel like they should probably change that. That seems a little fucked up.
And is the address still the same? 14 Branchland? Okay, I think that's the one that's labeled Sonichu headquarters, right?
Yeah, that's right. Also known as the moreover, the Sonichu Temple.
Okay. Yeah, I can absolutely do that.
And this is what I'm talking about when I say that Chris is, like, putting other shit in front of his mom's own well-being. Because when this dude says, yo, like, so is your address still the same? And if I look it up, is it the one that says Sonichu headquarters? And Chris just has to cut him off and go, no. Moreover, Sonichu Temple. Because like I said, at the end of the day, what really matters to Chris mostly is that people take his, like, weird world shit seriously.
Yeah, no.
So, some further insight, just to let you know about why I told you to encourage your son to write notes, even during virtual learning, is that it gives him physical contact over the information he is hearing and receiving, so that way the information becomes more physical with him.
Now, this here, I feel like Chris actually has a point for once. I was never in school, like, notes never helped me learn anything. I was better at just sitting there, intaking the info. But for a lot of kids, if that's troubling, yeah, you might want them to write shit down. So, honestly, Chris, good advice. Good advice. I'm commending you for this one.
Also, while I have you, do you have a minute to talk, or are you in a hurry?
Yeah, I'm listening. I have a moment.
Okay. I was just going to say, I was on that website you directed me to, Onion Farms, and it looks like there's quite a few people on there who are wanting to get more, including Kenneth, who are wanting to get more like Sonichu comics. Is there any interest in doing anything like that, or is there any update you want me to give the people who want that stuff?
Brother, what are you on about? There's like 6 people on the Onion Farms. And to be fair, though, I guess people do want new Sonichu.
No, I'll tell you what, on the Onion Farm, you can tell them, as I had told somebody else that in a religious group, a group of Catholics up in New York, go ahead and start like a protest group to get my body and me out of jail legally.
Okay.
Yeah, just essentially protest.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it right there. If you're one of these people who wants a new Sonichu edition or whatever, you got to go out in the street and protest because that's the only way it's happening. I do find it funny that the guy even said, like, Chris, people want new Sonichu, are you planning on doing it? And the first thing Chris says, the first thing out his mouth is, well, actually, here's what yous can do for me. Because at the end of the day, that's all these Chris calls are. I brought it up in my last video. It's never Chris, talking with somebody. There were parts in this where Chris was having a genuine conversation with the guy. But the end of the day, and the crux of these phone calls, for Chris anyway, is to get out the info he wants to get out into the outside world, and to beg for money, and to, ask people for the shit he needs. He's not worried about the Sonichu comics. He doesn't give a fuck what anybody else wants. But that's his whole thing. If you want the Sonichu comics, you better go out and protest. And this goes back to the whole thing with him wanting people to write to Biden, apparently. Do you remember that, when he wanted people to write to Biden to get him out? Now he just wants you all to go protest. So get your picket signs and get out in the street and go fight for Chris.
Well, I mean, yeah, that's. I think there is a movement of some kind, because there is some interest on the. I didn't do a lot of digging on the site, but people seem to be aware of your court date sometime in February.
Yeah, now you're just straight up lying, because nobody is planning on starting a movement to get Chris out of jail and shit. Nobody cares. Everyone who's talking about Chris, for the majority of them, people want to see new Sonichu comics, and if you're like me, you're just laughing about it. If even one person goes out and protests, that would be the funniest goddamn thing in the world, but don't waste your time.
Of course, obviously, I have not been able to do the write or draw comic book pages by the individual drawings. And of course, everything is just continuing to happen as well, regardless of whether I do these comic books or not. But
Sure.
I do body work and go to C197 and Club 18 Earth. Of course, I work with everybody, including Chan and Iron Man and Superman and Burt Blonde Noir and all of them and everybody else.
Okay.
And this is why I don't take Chris's concern for Barb that seriously, because in the same phone call where he asks to have a wellness check for his mother, who he's genuinely fearing about, he decides to, go into another tangent about being there with Iron Man and just post it up, doing whatever the fuck. And it just shows, like I said, at the end of the day, while Chris is taking this seriously because he really wants the money from this guy, and he a part of him does want Barb to be checked up on, it's not the end goal. The end goal is him getting to Quickville and just partying it up with fucking Spider-Man.
Hey, can I ask you for a favor, though?
Certainly.
If I send you this money, can I have a Sonichu drawing from you?
Yeah, I'll send you a Sonichu drawing if I can.
That would be great, yeah.
I love how annoyed Chris sounded. Like, he gave the stress side the second that dude asked for a Sonichu drawing. And like I said, it just speaks to the point, ladies and gentlemen, that Chris does not want you to contact him if you are going to ask for stuff from him. He only wants to talk to you if you are offering him stuff. All Chris cares about is the money he's going to get in jail and what he wants. Now, that's the end of both calls, and I just want to say that it's clear that Zombo, the dude who wrote or called Chris, has good intentions. He genuinely feels bad for Chris, and he genuinely cares about Chris's well-being. Now, I've told you before, after what Chris did, I'm just here to laugh about it, ladies and gentlemen. Whatever happens to Chris at this point is all his own doing. But, like I said, if this dude wants to talk to Chris and give him money and do all that shit, that's fine. But when you upload the videos onto YouTube, I'm going to cover these things because it is an update, and now we know that for certain Chris only cares about all the fucking money. Now, we knew that before because he's been e-begging the whole time he's been in jail. But this call really was enlightening because it shows that, it's not all the weird Sonichu and friggin' Spider-Man, whatever. There is a part of Chris that is genuinely like nervous about the situation he's in. He knows that he's running low on money. He knows that he can't just snap his fingers and zap a couple C quarters into existence. Chris, it seems like, is starting to become a little more world conscious. And when I say that, I don't mean it in the sense that Bob said it. Chris doesn't even know, I think, that there's like states outside of fucking Virginia. But Chris is starting to understand the situation he's in, and he's starting to understand that he can't just sit around and talk about this shit all day. He needs actual money, and the only way he can get it is by begging people for it. And that's what he's doing in this call here. I don't think this will be the last call we see of all this, but I don't know, man. I'm not going to lie. When I listened to these calls today, I was so bored, especially during that first 15-minute call, because like I said, all it is talking about money orders and all that. I don't even know why that was uploaded onto YouTube, but it was, and if you want to go hear it, like I said, I'll put the link in the description. I'm pretty sure it sends you to the Quickie. Just go over there and check them out, but I feel like I got to show you the best parts of the calls right in this video here. So I hope you guys have a really good day. I hope you can spark one up for me. And yeah, just be safe, ladies and gentlemen. But before I go, I do want to give a shout out to my homies. I want to give a shout out to Tyler, Holly, Not So Crabby, Sky, Grace. You guys, absolute goats. I love you. Oh, and John Bob. How'd I forget about the goat John Bob? All of yous, goats, and I love yous. And anyone who watches these videos, thank you.